All right, let's dive into a really fascinating story that came out of Fiji. It's one of those tales that starts with a very human, very real worry, a mother's concern for her son, and then spirals into something that captured the attention of the entire country. It's all about family, community, and, the totally wild and unpredictable nature of the internet. So this is the big question, isn't it? How on earth does a simple missing person report turn into this massive symbol of national hope and, at the same time, spark a huge national controversy? The answer tells us so much about our modern world and how fast a personal story can become, well, everybody's business. Okay, so let's rewind and go right back to the beginning. Because before all the memes, before the marketing, and before the big debates, this was really just a simple story about a family who was sick with worry about their missing son. So just look at how fast all of this happened. On January 13th, Musa heads out for a funeral. Totally normal. But then, radio silence. He doesn't come back, doesn't call. His family, of course, starts to panic and they report him missing. And then, out of nowhere, videos start popping up online showing him totally fine, just hanging out in a village. Can you imagine? He finds out he's a missing person from the internet, and then the police have to bring him home? What a whirlwind. And this right here is the part we just can't forget. At the absolute heart of this whole viral saga was real, raw human emotion. His mom, Khatija B, actually made a public plea for help. Just try to imagine the fear and anxiety that she and her family were going through, thinking the absolute worst. That genuine distress is a critical piece of this whole puzzle. So, Musa is found, he's safe, and normally that's where the story would end, right? But nope. In this case, that was just the beginning of something way, way bigger. You have to understand, with crime being a real worry in Fiji, the public was right there with his family. Everybody feared the worst. Social media just lit up with posts, everyone asking the same questions. Where is this guy? Is he okay? And then the big reveal. Musa wasn't in some kind of danger. He hadn't been hurt. He was just chilling in a village in Bula, a place that was basically a second home to him. You could almost hear the collective sigh of relief from across the entire country. And this is where everything just pivots. That national relief turned into humor almost instantly. And then came the memes, an absolute explosion of them. He got this nickname, the Fijian Adventurer, and suddenly his face was everywhere. He became a national icon, practically overnight. But, for a lot of Fijians, this was way more than just a funny internet story. Underneath all the jokes and memes, they saw something really powerful, a symbol of hope for their nation. People looked at what happened to Musa and saw this beautiful picture of cross-cultural harmony. You had this Indo-Fijian man being completely welcomed and cared for in an Itauke village. People loved his humble, positive vibe, and his story was held up as proof that deep down, Fijians are a lot more united than they are divided. It really became this moment of genuine national pride. And this piece of context is so, so important to understanding why that connection was so real. This wasn't just some random village he stumbled into. The Fiji Times reported he'd actually lived there for years before. So he wasn't a stranger. He was known, he was loved, he was basically family. But as you can probably guess, that's not the whole story. While all this celebration was happening, a different kind of conversation started to get louder. One full of criticism and some pretty serious questions. This slide just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got this beautiful symbol of hope and unity. And on the other, you've got this cautionary tale about being irresponsible, causing your family pain, and even about corporations taking advantage. It's the exact same event, seen through two totally different lenses. So the critics were really focused on a few key things. First, just the personal irresponsibility of it all, and the incredible stress he put his family through. Second, the fact that this took up valuable police time and resources. But the concerns ran even deeper. People worried that by celebrating Musa, they were basically glorifying this kind of behavior. And they were really uncomfortable with how fast big companies swooped in to cash in on his new fame. And yeah, that corporate angle, it followed a playbook we've all seen before. The second Musa went viral, brands started lining up, showering him with free stuff in exchange for a photo. Then, bam, those pictures become their new marketing campaign. It immediately made people ask, wait a minute, is this ethical? Is this humble guy actually being compensated fairly, or is he just being used for his 15 minutes of fame? Wow, yeah. This social media post really just says it all, doesn't it? I mean, they're being sarcastic, obviously, but this comment hits the nail on the head. It pinpoints the exact fear so many people had that if you reward Musa with gifts and fame, you're sending a really dangerous message to young people and normalizing something that goes against Fiji's really strong family first values. So, when all the memes eventually fade and the dust settles, what are we actually left with? What's the real lesson here from this whole viral moment? In the end, it really all boils down to this tricky balancing act. Everybody wanted to celebrate that feeling of hope and unity that Moose's story sparked. But how do you do that without also seeming to endorse the irresponsible actions that caused so much pain and worry to begin with? That's the really complicated question that Fiji was left trying to figure out. And really, that's a question that goes way beyond just Fiji. In this world where anybody can become a meme overnight, how do we celebrate those rare moments of connection they might bring without totally losing sight of the bigger picture? It's a tough one, and definitely something worth thinking about. Thanks for tuning in to this explainer.